Have you ever been there? You see something just breathtaking, and you try to tell someone about it, but the words just don't do it justice. It's this universal struggle, right? How do we take this massive, complicated, beautiful world and somehow squeeze it into language? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into.
I mean, just look at this for a second. How would you even start to describe it? You could say, oh, it's a sunset, there's water, some clouds, but that's not it, is it? How do you capture the feeling of it? The way that light just bleeds across the sky, or that sense of total calm. See, it's so much harder than it sounds.
And this really gets to the heart of the matter. The writer Mark Doty puts it perfectly in his book, World into Word. He says, the world is wily and doesn't want to be caught. It's like reality itself is this living, breathing thing that's always shifting, always resisting our attempts to just slap a simple label on it.
So that's our starting point. Let's get into section 1, which we're calling the unspoken world. Because really, that's what this is about. All the stuff we experience that we can't quite find the words for.
It sounds so simple, right? Just say what you see. But you find out really fast that there's this huge gap between the rich, full-color experience in your head and the limited words you have to talk about it. And that gap, right there between seeing and saying, that's where our whole exploration really begins.
But here's a thought. What if the problem isn't just with our words? What if the problem starts way earlier with our own eyes? That brings us to section 2, our partial glimpse. Because, maybe we're not even seeing the whole picture in the first place.
Doty makes this fantastic point that our perception is never complete. What we actually take in through our senses isn't the total objective reality. It's just a tiny slice. It's, as he says, slippery, nuanced, elusive. It's like we're trying to describe a moving target that we can only ever see a little piece of.
So, we basically have two very different ways we try to deal with this. On one hand, you've got scientific description. The goal there is to be totally objective, right? The observer stands apart from the thing they're observing. But literary description, it does the exact opposite. It dives right into the subjective, the emotional. The writer isn't just a reporter. They merge with the experience, telling you how it feels to be there.
Okay, so if our words are limited and what we see is incomplete, you might be thinking, what's the point? Well, this is where things get really incredible. Let's move on to section 3, words that build worlds.
And here it is, maybe the most powerful idea we're going to talk about. Language isn't just a mirror. It doesn't just passively reflect a reality that's already out there. No way. Language is an active, creative force. It literally constructs the world that we all live in together. So how does that even work? Well, you can think about it in 3 steps. First, we have our own raw personal experience of something. Then we use words to shape that experience. It's like putting a frame around it. And finally, when we share those words, we invite other people into that frame, and together we build a shared reality. And I mean, just think about the biggest forces in all of human history. Our mythologies, our religious texts, our constitutions, our laws, these aren't just descriptions of things. They are entire worlds, complete systems of belief and order, built out of nothing more than words. All of this brings up a really fascinating question. If it's so hard to describe things, and we know our descriptions will always be incomplete, why do we have this deep, almost primal need to do it? That's what we're going to get into in section 4, the impulse to answer.
Mark Doty asks this question himself, and he just nails it. What is that powerful pull we feel when we see something amazing, that immediate urge to try and find the right words, to do justice to what we've just seen or felt? What is that desire?
The poet Walt Whitman captured this feeling perfectly. He writes about hearing a bird sing and suddenly feeling like he is required to answer. It's not a choice, it's a calling. It's like the world shows us its wonder, and something deep inside of us feels like it has to sing back.
When that feeling gets really intense, it can lead to this state that another poet, Hart Crane, called word transmemberment. It's this wild, incredible idea. It's a moment where the line between your words and the thing you're describing just completely dissolves. The word and the world fuse together until you can't tell them apart.
So, why do we chase after that feeling, that fusion of word and world?
Well, that leads us right to the ultimate payoff of this whole difficult process. Our final section, section 5, recognizing our world. Because at the end of all that struggle, the reward is huge. It's what Doty calls the pleasure of recognizing a described world. You know that feeling, right? That amazing aha moment when you read something and you just think, yes, that's it. That's exactly how I felt, but I could never say it. In that moment, you feel completely seen. You feel understood. And that is why all of this matters so much. Trying to find the right words is how we actually connect with each other on a much deeper level. It's how we begin to understand our own messy experiences. And when we get it right, we're giving what Doty calls real gifts to others. The gift of recognition, of shared understanding.
So I'll just leave you with this one last thought to carry with you. Take a look around your world and take a look inside yourself. What is it? What experience? What feeling? What tiny, beautiful detail in your life is just sitting there, waiting for you to find the words to bring it to life?